Well, welcome class of 2024. Give yourself a round of applause, seniors. Well, you all are about to continue to have a lot of first of last here at ETHS. Yeah, you can clap at that. We're just about halfway through your senior year, and when we exit for winter break, you're going to come back to school and you're going to look up. It'll be Valentine's Day. You look up again. Spring break will be here. You look up again. Prom will be here. And then you look up one more time. And Dr. Kinsey and I and the Board of Education will be handing you your diplomas of ETHS. So I'm really excited for you. I'm excited for the next semester and what you all are going to be able to accomplish after you leave ETHS. And today, you get to hear a little bit about the accomplishments of more and other ETHS grads, some as recent as 12 years ago. And so this is our Distinguished Alumni Ceremony event that we've been hosting annually since about 2002. And I'm hoping that this morning that you will be inspired to think about the possibilities for your future, and the possibilities of things that you may be able to conceive of right now, or what you will do with your life. And then there are things that you may not be able to even fathom or dream about. But the point this morning is that there are opportunities. And I want you to imagine and begin to reimagine, because there are things that you will be able to do that aren't even created yet. Jobs that don't even exist yet, industry innovations that you, there are people in this room that you will be able to do. And I have no doubt that in a few years or so that many of you will be back on this stage sharing the same conversation and stories to another graduating class. So without any further ado, I am going to invite Mr. David Futransky, who is the Executive Director for our Alumni Relations and Institutional Advancement. He's over fundraising for the school. He's going to come and share a little bit about our program this morning. Mr. Futransky?
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Campbell. I am David Futransky. I'm a member of the ETHS class of 1969. That's a long time ago, isn't it? That's a very long time ago. I came back to ETHS about 25 years ago and was a history teacher. And after a number of years, I was asked by Dr. Witherspoon to take on some other responsibilities. One of the ones that's most enjoyable and exciting to me every year is our Distinguished Alumni Awards. The school started, as you know, in 1883. We were in a different location in what's now downtown Evanston. We moved into the main parts of this building 99 years ago in 1923. And next year we'll be celebrating the centennial of being at Church and Dodge, 100 years in one building. That in itself is a pretty amazing number to think about. 103 years ago, where you're sitting was an onion farm. They built this very large building, and we have had, throughout time, 80,000 people come through ETHS. Over 60,000 of those are still alive, and you guys in the spring will become the next group of alumni to join the Alumni Association of ETHS. We've done this program for 21 years. There's a committee. Some of the members are on the stage. They're listed in your program books. The committee started working over the summer. They read through 60 files of nominations. They spend hours reading about people, coming together as a committee several times to discuss them, and then they made a selection. 21 years we've been doing this. This group brings us to 121 people whose plaques are up on the wall at the west end of H Hallway. 121 people out of 80,000. That's a pretty distinguished group. The committee was made up of students, of current and retired faculty and staff, of alumni, and of people who live and work in the community. So it's a very broad and diverse group that pulls this together every year, and we're very excited to bring these alumni in to to speak to you, and for some students to introduce them. So our first student host is Jillian Denlow, class of 23.
Hello and good morning, class of 2024. My name is Jillian Denlow and I am a fellow senior. I am honored to introduce to you the distinguished Nichelle Campbell-Miller from the class of 2011, who has embodied the tradition of excellence fostered here at ETHS. After graduating from Evanston Township High School, Nichelle earned her bachelor's degree in social work from Indiana State University in Terre Haute, Indiana. Nichelle has resided in Terre Haute ever since, where she has cultivated a culture of understanding and acceptance in her community at large. In 2016, Nichelle stepped into her current role as a social worker at Sarah Scott Middle School, where she works closely with at-risk youth. When I spoke with Nichelle, she said that the educators I had at ETHS shaped me into the social worker I am today. Nichelle had teachers who invested in her beyond the confines of the classroom, and that is something that she has carried into her own practice. She added, "I go to all my students' games and extracurriculars because I know how important it is to them and makes them feel valued. I want to make my students feel heard." Nichelle is a strong activist within the Black and LGBTQ+ communities, advocating for inclusive policies. In 2020, she served as the founding president of the Pride Center of Terre Haute, where a wealth of resources are offered to help the community thrive. At Sarah Scott, Nichelle established the first Gay-Straight Alliance, which aims to promote awareness and harmony between all students. In June of 2022, she earned the United State of Indiana LGBTQ+ Pride Leader Award. Nichelle also facilitates anti-racism training for Sarah Scott teachers, where she works to address systems that discriminate against vulnerable populations. In addition to her role as an educator, Nichelle coaches several teams at Sarah Scott. She said, "You can do so much more when the kids see you in a different light. A lot of my kids don't have people in their lives who say, 'I see you, I love you, I care about you.' And so as a coach, I have more opportunities to tell them that I love them, care about them, and that I want to see them win." In January, Nichelle was presented the 12 Under 40 Award by the Chamber of Commerce and Tribune Star, a tribute that speaks to her impact in the West Central Indiana community. While she has poured so much energy into her community in Terre Haute, Nichelle still has strong ties to Evanston. It has been a great honor to get to know Nichelle, and I hope that her story can inspire us all to be more empathetic human beings. So without further ado, please help me welcome Nichelle Campbell-Miller.
Let's go. Hey, give it up for my girl Jillian one more time. What? What were you nervous about? Ooh. All right, y'all. All right, I would be remiss if I did not embarrass my little sister. So shout out to my sister, Alyssa Williams. Where you at in the crowd? That's my little sis. Shout out to you, Alyssa. Yeah, I had to put you out there. I don't know where you at, but you out there somewhere. All right, y'all. That was all so amazing. I mean, I couldn't have written that better. I don't know. I need to borrow that. So let me make sure I have that after this. So hello, everyone. I'm Nichelle Campbell-Miller. I don't even know what I was going to come up here and say to you guys today. I'm just extremely honored, super blessed to be here, it's just amazing to be able to stand here in front of you. I know that people say, they come up here and they tell you, I remember sitting here, and Mr. Levatino, shout out to you for this one. But they come up here and they do tell you, I remember sitting in this seat and people talking to you. I don't remember none of that. Facts. I have no idea what none of them people was talking about when they came up here and they told us all their stories. I don't remember none of that. But one thing that I do remember, guys, is how people make you feel. That's one thing that is extremely important that I want you to take away, because that's something that you could never get back. You always have to remember that you're not going to remember the conversations that you have with people. You'll never remember those conversations sometimes, but they will always remember. You will always remember how somebody made you feel. So at the end of the day, If you take nothing away from these conversations, if you take nothing away from that classroom, you may not remember what you learned in that civics class. You may not remember what you learned in math. I don't remember what I learned in geometry, but you'll remember how that teacher made you feel. That's what's most important. So when you go out into the world, when you have interactions with people, I want you to make sure that's how I do my life's work. I remember to make sure that when I leave that person, I'm going to remember how I made them feel that day. That's all I got for y'all today, all right? Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jesse Johnson, and it is my honor to speak on behalf of a prominent ETHS alumni, Sanders Ivy Hicks. Sam was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and moved to Evanston, Illinois in 1930 when he was 3 years old. He attended Foster Elementary School, which was a segregated school at the time, and was able to attend Evanston Township High School. Sam had many hobbies growing up, including figure skating, photography, and playing the violin. Playing the violin was something Sam was very passionate about. He would play with his mother as she performed and wrote poetry. Sam continued to play the violin until his teen years, where he picked up baseball. He played for the Evanston Flashers, which was a local city league. Sam was described as intelligent, hardworking, and family-oriented, even in the early 1930s and 1940s, where Evanston wasn't as progressive as it was now. Most of us are already 18, or are going to turn 18 this year. You probably felt excited and happy to be an adult. For most men in the 1940s, they don't share the same feelings about it as you did. Sam wanted to study engineering in high school, and he turned 18 on March 3rd. The school year was coming to an end, and most everyone knew where they were going to go for college and what they were going to do. Sam was drafted into the military, however, to fight in World War II. When he returned from the Philippines years later, he got his GED. Instead of going to college, he was able to become a firefighter instead. So on November 1st, 1950, Sanders Ivy Hicks became the first African-American firefighter in Evanston, Illinois. But he didn't stop there. He became a captain in 1963, a chief training officer in 1973, and in 1980 he became the first black fire chief in Evanston. During his time as a firefighter, Sam got back to his old hobbies, such as figure skating and photography. He started the Evanston Speed Skating Club in 1966, where he was the first coach of Sonny Davis, the first African American to win a gold medal at the Winter Olympics. He worked for many years with the Amateur Skating Association in Illinois and the Amateur Speed Skating Union of the United States from 1988 to 1993. And in May of 1999, he was inducted into the United States Speed Skating Hall of Fame. Sam was also a photographer, and he began shooting weddings, accident sites, and then moved to portraits of youth musicians that are still portrayed in clubs around Chicago. Chief Hicks unfortunately passed away on June 16th of 2017 and is not here to receive his long overdue award. Despite this, his legacy and message should be an example for all the people of color, and especially our young black men. Thank you.
All right. Good morning, class of 2024. My name is Yishuan Liu, and I am delighted to introduce the next speaker, Dr. Frank Ling. Dr. Frank Ling has been the president of the Association of Professors of OBGYN, as well as the American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and has earned many prestigious titles, such as Best Doctors in America, America's Top Doctors, and Top Physicians. Born in Evanston, Dr. Ling was one of the first Chinese families in the area. Despite being a minority, Dr. Ling found a welcoming community at Evanston. At ETHS, Dr. Ling had engaged in a variety of extracurricular activities, from student government and chess to orchestra and soccer. He would later bring his passion for soccer to Wabash College, where he studied psychology and pursued a degree in medicine. During a summer internship in the second year of med school, he found a passion for obstetrics and gynecology. As a specialist in OBGYN, Dr. Ling had a long career in academic medicine before moving on to private practice. Recently, he took on a new role for a new residency at Baptist Memorial Hospital for Women, where he implemented an innovative model in which all clinical education occurs within the context of private practices of faculty members, rather than in the classroom. This approach promotes more acquisition of knowledge and clinical skills. Dr. Ling has had a substantial impact in the realm of academia, with around 300 books, 300 published articles and abstracts, as well as 50 chapters for 36 books. Of note, whenever possible, he allows others to be credited as the first author in order to help advance their careers. Beyond his medical career, Dr. Ling is actively engaged in his community, serving as a deacon and elder at his church, while also contributing to the medical committee for the Make-A-Wish Foundation in Memphis, and spending quality time with his 4 grandchildren. The Distinguished Alumni Committee, which acknowledges individuals demonstrating excellence and commitment to their community, proudly presents Dr. Frank Ling as one of the finest OBGYN doctors. We are proud to recognize him not only for his significant contributions to his field, but also for the impact he has made on other people and his community. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Frank Ling.
So actually, I can still remember farming the onion fields here 112 years ago. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming today, because this is a celebration. It's a celebration of my mother's 113th birthday. She was born today, December 4th, 1910. That's important, and you'll see why in just a second. My 2 children, who are her grandchildren, obviously, they called her Qingma, spelled C-H-I-N-G-M-A, Qingma. That's one of many names in the Chinese language for a grandmother. So I need for all of you, and you'll see why later, I need for all of you on the count of 3 just to say the simple 2 words, Qingma, all right? 1, 2, 3. Qingma. Thank you. So now that I've taught you Chinese, that some of you may be now bilingual, trilingual, whatever, but now you know at least 2 words in Chinese, which will serve you well in the future. You're also going to be participating with me over the next couple minutes on something that I think sort of carries what Nichelle was talking about in her remarks earlier, and I'm just going to present it to you perhaps in a different way. If you go out today and someone says, what are those people talking about? What was that old guy? What was he saying? You can just use one word, just say the word connection, C-O-N-N-E-C-T-I-O-N, connection, and again, you'll see why in just a second. So, your first job now is, if you would, all stand up. I know, you're comfortable and I'm making you uncomfortable. Stand up. If you're able. Okay. Now, well, you can't just stand up and talk. You got to listen to what I'm saying. All right. Next, and this is why you're standing, I want you to look around you and acknowledge at least 3 people, probably you know one or more of them very well. Wait a second. But wait, listen. Listen. The other thing you need to do is deliberately reach out to somebody who you may not know. Look them in the eye and just say, hello, my name is whatever. Take a few seconds to do that. 3 people. Okay, have a seat. The purpose of that exercise, albeit very corny, is I want you to spend time in the future thinking in terms of connections. Not just the people you know well, not just your best friend who's sitting next to you in the auditorium today, but people around you who perhaps you don't know as well or don't even know at all. Because ultimately, wherever you go, whatever you do, the connections you make with them, as you've heard already from Nichelle, are critically important to who you're going to be in the future. And I would suggest to you this is not an issue of just individuals, but it's also groups of individuals, your people in your English class as a group, people on a team that you may be on, or a club you may be a part of, maybe even your neighborhood, there's an organization that you're a part of. Think in terms of all the connections you have and how each of those connections can potentially make a significant difference in who you are now and who you will become. So as you move through life, these connections are going to be more apparent because people will be more organized for you to have connections with. I want you to use your imagination next. Think of yourself kind of like in a cartoon movie or something. I want you to shrink yourself down to about 1.5 inches tall. If you're real competitive, you can be 2 inches tall, but no more than that. Think about that, and then put yourself out in nature, because we're going to learn something about connections from Mother Nature in just a second. So we're going to put you on a leaf, because what we're going to talk about are leaves and pebbles and how you will learn from Mother Nature about being a leaf and a pebble and how significant that is. Imagine yourself 1.5, 2 inches tall, you're relaxing on a leaf, floating on a pond. Maybe it's the pond on the 3rd floor of the school here, but the water's calm, everything's calm, no wind, no rain, you're just lying there resting on this leaf. But then someone somehow drops a little pebble, a few inches away. And all of a sudden, as you know, when you drop a pebble into calm water, what happens? You have a little bit of a what is that? Oh, okay, we're done. You have I have a little wave that kind of goes out from where that pebble is, and maybe your leaf gets sort of rocked a little bit, but then nothing else happens and now you're calm again. But what if several pebbles got dropped at different places in that pond? What happens? Well, each of those pebbles creates its own ripple effect. And that's where I want to put out to you as a model of what your life will be like. That's life. You're on a leaf. All these pebbles are being dropped around you. Some cause a lot of commotion. Some are still very nice and calm. But you have the interactions of all these ripple effects from each of the pebbles around you that make a big difference in who you ultimately become. But also, I would suggest to you that you are the pebble in the life of all your colleagues, like the people you just met. Who knows? Someone you just talked with or made eye contact with just now may turn out to be more significant at a later time in your life. But the point is, you never know when that's going to occur. And so what you've got to do is appreciate the fact that, in fact, your life is a whole series of responses to little pebbles, sometimes big boulders, but things get dropped in that calm pond around you, and that's what's called life. There's rarely, if ever, truly a calm pond around you, and how you respond to that is absolutely critical going forward. So now I'm going to ask you to do something else. I know you've never done this before, because I can guarantee you none of you have ever known someone 113 years old. But even though my mother's not here, she is in fact here, because I'm a product of her. My connection with her is obvious. The ripple effect she's had on me is obvious. Just like when you go forward from here, you will be making ripple effects on other people, even though you don't realize it. It just happens. Again, that's what happens when you interface with people. So I'm going to ask you to do something really corny, and I hope either my son or my daughter, who are sitting back there, are recording this. I shouldn't say video, because we don't use video anymore. Recording this, because this may be the only time that you will get the chance to sing happy birthday to Chingma. All right? Corny? Absolutely. Do I care? Absolutely not. So, on the count of 3, if you want to sing in a different language, feel free to sing in a different language. But I need happy birthday, okay? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Chingma. Happy birthday to you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the enthusiasm. I can guarantee you 100% that she felt such strong connections to this school, because she was so proud that she was able to have her 3 kids graduate from here and launch into their respective successful careers. So, having done your happy birthday, I appreciate that. Let me congratulate you on the great ripple effects and the connections that you've established thus far. But I can also encourage you that hopefully, based upon what you hear today and some of the other things you're going to be learning in the next 6 months from this great faculty here, that you'll have many, many positive ripple effects going forward. And I'm pretty confident that most of you, in about 95 years, somebody's going to be singing happy birthday to you because of your positive ripple effects. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Gavin Daniels. Today, we stand in admiration of the unparalleled legacy left behind by an extraordinary trailblazer in healthcare and service, Dr. Elizabeth Hill. Dr. Hill's life journey, defined by resilience, unwavering determination, and groundbreaking accomplishment, serves as an emblem of fortitude in the face of daunting challenges. Born in Evanston in 1898, Dr. Hill embarked on her educational journey. After graduating in 1916 from Evanston Township High School, she began the pursuit of a career in the medical field. At this time, becoming a doctor as a person of color, especially a woman of color, was near impossible due to systemic barriers entrenched in society, causing her pursuit of this degree to be met with numerous obstacles. After 15 years of unwavering dedication and perseverance, Dr. Hill achieved this monumental milestone in 1931 from the University of Illinois, an enormous victory for herself and other women of color also battling these societal barriers. To put this in perspective, Dr. Hill was navigating an era where people of color, especially women, faced insurmountable odds to enter the medical field. Dr. Hill's journey was an uphill battle. Discrimination and a lack of acceptance for persons of color in the medical profession were stark realities. The limitations were evident in the mere 4-bed hospital initially available to the African American community in Evanston. In the face of adversity, Dr. Hill's indomitable spirit emerged. She and Isabella Garnett, the first Black physician in Illinois, defied conventions by relocating the hospital from a confined 3rd-floor space of a church to their own home. This transformative move marked the genesis of change as they embarked on an incredible journey to expand the hospital's capacity from a mere 4-bed facility to a 56-bed hospital. As we gather to honor and celebrate Dr. Hill's life, let us recognize her extraordinary accomplishments and draw inspiration from her unwavering commitment to equity and healthcare accessibility. Her legacy challenges us to confront barriers, dismantle prejudices, and strive relentlessly to create a world where societal limitations do not bind opportunities. Thank you.
My name is Jacques Philippe, and I'm introducing a member of the class of 1984, Andy Slavitt. During the beginning of the pandemic, with all the chaos and uncertainty that we all faced, you probably turned on your TV to hear what us citizens should do. What many wouldn't realize is that a wild kid from this town was leading the White House's COVID-19 response team. For many, being a senior advisor to the president on a pandemic would be a standalone accomplishment in your life, though this hardly encapsulates all that Andy Slavitt has done so far. Aside from being a senior national advisor to the current president, Slavitt led Medicare and Medicaid for President Obama, vitally implementing the software needed for the Affordable Care Act to be successful and operate nationwide. When congressmen wanted to repeal Obamacare, Mr. Slavitt went around the nation into different communities and met with thousands of Americans in libraries, military bases, and city halls to preserve Obamacare. Before this, he led the company Optum from before its inception all the way to $35 billion in revenue, where it focused on reducing healthcare costs and removing barriers to improve the healthcare experience. He also was a founder and CEO of Health Allies, a company that served the uninsured and underinsured. Andy credits the caring and rigorous teachers at ETHS, and especially his humanities classes, for being prepared for the world, including attending Penn for college and earning his MBA at Harvard. At ETHS, Slavitt was a member of the soccer team and was the editor-in-chief of the Evanstonian. This was an indication of his future, as he wrote a book called Preventable, in addition to having a podcast called In the Bubble with Andy Slavitt, which is a top 10 news podcast on Apple. Throughout his life, he has prioritized service as something important to him, whether that is helping organize, start, or oversee firms and nonprofits investing in under-resourced communities, or setting up a center for tutoring and mentoring in West Philadelphia with his wife. Andy Slavitt is always giving back. Somehow, this long list of accomplishments doesn't seem to even encompass half of what he's already achieved. Though he wasn't able to join us today, I was able to talk to him about what advice he would give to seniors and those that want to create change. Through the power of modern technology, we're able to have his answer to this question here today.
Bring a mix of optimism and fight to every situation. Do things you think are important, like chill all you want, but eventually, like once in a while, like do something that feels really, really important, and then bring every bit of fight and every bit of sense of optimism that you can to it. It's amazing how many things you think are impossible before you start, and then you somehow figure out a way. And some of it is just pure tenacity. Some of it is stuff you have learned that you didn't even know you learned. Some of the stuff you just figure out once you start. And some of it is just a lot of people are going to stay on the sidelines because it's safer. So if you choose to get in the ring, you already have an advantage. And, when people are unsure, they want to follow someone who is willing to step out and take the lead. And I'm sure you've all experienced that in your lives already, if you think about it. And those opportunities don't stop. And in fact, they kind of grow because people are staying on the sidelines. And whether that means you run for office, or whether that means you build a business, or whether that means you provide some service, or whether it means you serving in the military, and Evanston makes you readier than most people I've met in life.
Good morning, class of 2024. My name is Isabella Paraquelis, and I'd like to introduce our last honoree, Dr. Kenneth Schafel. A graduate of ETHS from the class of 1986, he now works as a medical doctor, as well as the assistant professor of medicine at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine in New York. Born and raised in Evanston, Dr. Schafel attended a District 65 elementary and middle school before coming to ETHS. Throughout his adolescence, he was an avid Boy Scout, where he was given opportunities to travel, participate in service projects, and learn skills he was able to apply for years to come. At ETHS, Dr. Schafel joined the gymnastics team, as well as the ChemPhys program. Though the tests were hard and the homework inconvenient, he always had an appetite for learning, and being at ETHS only provided more opportunities for it to grow. He even met some of his best friends in his ChemPhys class, Andrew Moskos and John Rosenfeld, who went on to create Boom Chicago with him. Boom Chicago, an international creative group based in Amsterdam, Netherlands, writes and performs sketch and improv comedy, and was established by Dr. Schafel and his two friends just after their time at Northwestern. After 13 years at Boom Chicago, with months of touring and 16-hour workdays throughout, Dr. Schafel chose to go back to school. Wanting to remain in a challenging environment, he went into medicine. During his entrance exams 20 years after graduating from ETHS, he was able to recall information he learned during his ChemPhys class, and he got a perfect score. Now, Dr. Schafel spends 3 to 4 months a year offering his medical services in Uganda and teaching students to follow in his footsteps, where he is able to apply the skills he retained during his Boy Scouts years, as well as his years here, to his work. When he's not in Uganda, he works at a primary care clinic in the Bronx, treating immigrant patients seeking asylum. Throughout his whole career, working in both theater and medicine, Dr. Schafel has kept the values he gained at ETHS close to him, along with the friends he made here and the lessons he learned. The Distinguished Alumni Committee recognizes graduates of ETHS who exemplify the tradition of excellence fostered here, and Dr. Schafel has truly gone above and beyond to exceed the expectations. So it is my honor to welcome Dr. Kenneth Schafel.
Hello, seniors. My name is Ken Schafel, and I'm a proud alumnus of the class of 1986. Thank you, Izzy, for that wonderful introduction. Boom Chicago is a creative organization in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, and it was founded by myself and 2 other wild kids from the class of 86, John Rosenfeld and Andrew Moskos. We met in these classes. We learned to reason with each other in this building. And I want to tell you, to start a business in a foreign country and to grow it to over 100 employees and to tour the world, it takes more than just a bold idea. It takes skills. And the skills are what we learned at ETHS. The skill that we learned that was our secret sauce was complementary reasoning. Complementary reasoning is when people put ideas together to form a better idea than any one individual had on their own. Now, a compliment and a complement are 2 different things. A complement with an E is derived from the word completion. It means parts brought together to create something complete. A compliment spelled with an I, that's saying something's nice, and that can be faked. A compliment cannot be faked. Now, I want to actually go back to geometry for a minute. Sorry, Nichelle, I know you don't remember it, but these guys are just 2 years out. So in geometry, complementary angles are two angles that add to 90 degrees, right? A 90-degree angle is a right angle. So therefore, complementary angles get things right. So the right way to view a problem is through complementary angles. And that's what we did. Using complementary reasoning, we would imagine an idea up to its best and most inspirational form. And then we would break it down into an actionable plan. And we did that again and again. That was our wheelhouse, that was our method. And for 12 years, we worked together. Now, this group of people, this photo was taken at Second City in Chicago because our theater company from Amsterdam was the first group invited back to Second City to perform on their stage in 40 years. And we performed with them. We did that 2 times. And people were attracted to work with us because we had this complementary reasoning thing. We would reason fast and furious, and people would listen to us think and solve problems, and they're like, wow, you guys got this, just tell me my part. And people joined us. We had employees with us for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and it's a beautiful thing. Complementary reasoning carried us very far. So I think ETHS puts a hunger inside you, a hunger for knowledge, a hunger for being your best, a hunger for being with great people, and a hunger for being involved in great projects. And after 12 years at Boom Chicago, I got hungry again, and I decided to go to medical school. And my ETHS education was my secret weapon. Yes, it had been 20 years, but because I got a good, solid education here, they hit me with a barrage of entry testing classes. And I nailed them. And I got into medical school 20 years after being in these classes. A good education sticks with you and is invaluable. Now, I am lucky, grateful, and blessed in that I work 4 months a year in Africa and 8 months a year in the Bronx. And I get to work each day expressing love to people who don't have a lot. And I like waking up each day, and I like facing my work, and I love what I do. I want to thank ETHS for giving me a great education and for giving me an environment where my classmates and I could find out what's amazing in each other. And I hope that you are getting a great education in here, and I hope your classmates are finding the gold in you, and you are finding the gold in your classmates. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for being a wonderful audience. I'm really proud of the class of 24 and how well you showed up today. Could you give yourselves a round of applause for being so good? Could you also give a big round of applause for our honorees, for all 6 who are represented up here today? One of the criteria to be selected for the Distinguished Alumni Award is that you be out of high school at least 10 years. So occasionally we find somebody who's out very close to that. Other people we find, Dr. Hill was 1916, so we had to wait over 100 years. But I am sure that we won't have to wait 100 years for members of the class of 24 to be on this stage. Some of you will be up here in the next 15 years, I'm sure. We have a little bit of time until the passing period, so I'm going to give you a big job to do, which is something I know you can all do really well, and it's just chill. Hang out, relax. We'll let you know when it's time to go. I want to thank all of the teachers, counselors, administrators, other staff for their support today and helping us get in so quickly and be so well organized. I want to thank the families and friends of our honorees who came today. And again, I want to thank all of you for being such a great audience. Relax, stay in your seats, and we'll let you know when it's time to go. Thank you.